All right, welcome to another episode of Oh Dark 30. Tonight is my first repeat offender. Uh, Clay, Clay Huerter is back on the show for round two.
That's right. Couldn't
Um,
get enough.
couldn't get enough. He loved it so much. For those that remember Clay, he's the flight medic from Wichita. So we're going to get into a lot more of, I think, the flight medic side of it. That's what I'm interested in. Is kind of like what's your day to day. I know you got crazy schedules, which is why we're doing this on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Kids, wives, work. It's been nuts. So we finally
Yeah.
reconnected. Welcome, repeat offender Clay.
Thanks for having me again. Appreciate it. Let's get into
Dude,
it. Let's talk
let's
about my life.
let's talk about your life, Clay. Let's talk about how messed up Clay Herter is.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know where to start with that.
So
But
so we were talking right before we hit record. You're talking about when there's weather, as we're gonna have here soon. Um, you don't necessarily have to fly if you guys can't fly, correct? Like, is
yeah,
there a certain like if there's like a I don't know a bus crash because Eldon always has bus crashes.
yeah.
Is there a like if there was a bus crash and Mask has weather is garbage, rain, snow, whatever. Would you guys fly?
Nope. Just
How's that work?
if it's bad, then no. But so we get dispatched out on a call, but it doesn't go like a normal dispatch like 911 where like in 911 it'd be like, "Hey, you're going to this wreck or this chest pain or this whatever." It goes to the pilots first. So it's like a so we have some called like a CAMES accreditation. It's like flight, EMS, safety standards and stuff. So basically, what they tell us is, hey, we have a request. It's like on the I work on a helicopter and plane, but like one would be like for the helicopter, it'd be like, hey, you have a scene response. It's a going from Wichita, and the destination is unknown or something like that. Because like they wouldn't know. So the weather, or then it would go to our pilots who check weather to make sure that it meets all of our minimums before we can go. And the minimums are like the big things that we look at are wind, temperature, dew point, which is just fog, uh, and then just like freezing temperatures. If there's a lot of moisture in the air when it's freezing, they won't take it. If there's fog or
Is it like
we even had like a bunch of like smoke too, like the other day,
oh
like
yeah,
we
you
had
guys
all
had the
those
big
fires in
wildfires.
Oklahoma that came up
Right.
there. We couldn't fly because the basically the readings from because we get all of our information from like airports and stuff. So like they read all that stuff for us. So if it reads all that, then we can't do it even if we wanted to do it.
So is there like a specific ceiling or visibility that you guys have to meet, like criteria?
Yeah. So I think it's 2,000 feet. I honestly I could be wrong with this because I don't
Because you don't fly
like
the helicopter.
I don't fly the helicopter. I You should pay attention to that because we have some pilots that are a little ballsy and they'll be like, "Well, it's minimum and but we might be able to do it, so we'll take off and then 2 minutes in the flight we'll be like, yeah, we're flying in the clouds. In a helicopter, you don't do that. You don't fly in clouds. So like we'd just turn around and be like, well, that was dumb. Like now I got to write a report on this. But I think it's 2,000 feet. And then at night, it has to be even clearer than that to even fly. So and it sounds high, but it's pretty low actually. So like um, it
But on
you
the flip
really
side of that, though, with fixed wing's completely different.
fixed wing's completely different. We still have minimums, but they're a lot lower. I think it's like 1,000 feet, And even that is, it's kind of iffy because as long as we can make it to the runway, we'll do it. Because there's instruments that you use, basically like the pilot's looking at this computer on his, in the front of the airplane, and both a helicopter and a plane have that, but uh, the fixed wing itself, the actual plane, can use that almost all the way to landing. As long as we got a little bit of a visual of a runway at the very end, that's what, like, then it's fine to do. Like, even like we've done some where it's like 500 feet, but we just got close enough and we're like, okay, like it wasn't supposed to be this low, but now that we're going in, we can actually see the runway, and maybe it's higher than that. It's just reading wrong. So we've done that a few times.
Your fixed wing's going from airport to airport, where your helicopter is going from your base to who knows where, because like I have landed flights, Casevac flights in like fields. So it's you're getting the radio call and a grid point from said firefighter or EMT on the ground.
Yeah.
And they're landing you somewhere close, a highway, a road, a field, or whatever. So yeah, I have done that before.
And that's a lot of trust that you're putting in somebody, because I think our biggest obstacles are power lines. And you probably noticed too, like in night vision goggles, you can't see lines. No. And even like some of the lights on towers and stuff, you can't see that either. Luckily in Kansas, everything's kind of flat, and you look underneath your night vision goggles for the helicopter at least, and you can kind of see it. But like at night, if you have a bunch of volunteer firefighters that are all tired and stuff, like if we question whether they're right or wrong, like we may not even land to. I've done it one time and it felt wrong because we were circling above them.
Right. When I worked at Gravois, there was a while that I had a rangefinder in my bunker gear, because we called in helicopters all the time because we were so far away from the hospital. You had to cross the bridge and whatever. And so if we weren't near one of our other stations that actually, because we had like 7 stations that all had landing pads for helicopters because we flew so much.
Yeah.
But if we weren't near one of those, I'd pull my rangefinder out and I'd just go stand in the field and be like, oh, it's, 60 feet from that tree. It's 60 feet from that tree. It's 60 feet from that tree. And I would let the pilots know. I'd be like, hey, you've got a big enough spot. If you want to come in here, let's do this, because this person needs to go.
We would probably be like, damn, this dude is precise. How the hell is he doing that? Even us from up there, we're like, I don't know. I think that looks about good enough. Don't you think?
Big enough.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
And we have all these checklists and stuff that we have too. So like before we land, we're like, are you guys comfortable and, landing in this spot? Do you see anything? Do you like all your stuff secure? Like all that stuff. And if we have any concerns. So we do all that too, just to, be extra safe.
Now, do you have, is it you and one other person on the plane, right? Or on the helicopter?
So yeah, it's usually, you can't run 2 medics for whatever reason anymore. So
That's
it's
dumb.
A medic, I know, it's a medic and a nurse, or 2 nurses, and then you have your pilot, of course. And we have room in the fixed wing if like you want to take somebody too. So like after we pick up the patient, if they're small enough, most of the time we'll accommodate that.
Now the difference between those, so your helicopter is basically you're going to an emergency scene to pick somebody up who, based on injuries or based on distance from hospital, but your fixed wing is like you're transporting one patient from said hospital to another said hospital because they need some sort of different quality of care. Right?
Yeah. So what we learned in new hire was it's because it's like IFTs or inter-facility transports, and they call it inter-facility rescues instead, because some of these people are like, for me in Wichita, we go up to western Kansas daily. at least. Like at least once, if not like 4 times a day. And it's not their fault. It's just people don't want to live in, you know,
Populated
uh,
areas.
yeah, I don't want to say like specific places where people are like, "Hey, I live there," but yeah, the
Well, it's
further out western Kansas that you go, and there's not a hospital there, and you can bear these people are in emergency rooms, but they might as well be a clinic. Like
right,
one
right.
close to us, we have Kingman. You go there, and when I worked 911, I brought a patient there before, and the nurse was like, "Why'd you bring him here? We don't have the things." And I'm like, "She has the flu. Like, she is coughing and a small fever, and she's standing and walking, and she is happy as can be, and she just wants to go to her little hospital. Like, just." And they're like, "Well, we're going to have to call in a doctor. It's going to be about 2 hours to get here." I'm like, "Sorry. Like, here you go. Have fun.
Okay, make
Sign
the
my
call.
paperwork."
I want to leave.
Yeah. Like, "Oh no, that sounds terrible. Sign this and I'll figure it out." Then, all right, let's go, go, go.
Okay, see ya.
Go before they ask questions.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of hospitals out west with my old job where we installed and tested like nurse call systems in the patient's room,
Yeah.
the little buttons that change the channels and the lights and all that
Yeah.
shit. And we got to these hospitals and like our company has scheduled us because it's a hospital. They're like, here, it's 3 days you're going to be there. And we get out there and like 40 minutes later, we're done with the hospital because it's like 8
Yeah.
rooms. And like, okay, I'll get my per diem. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, just Western Kansas in general though is just kind of, it's not just Western Kansas. There's a bunch of them, but like you don't have the right care, and man, there are some dumb reasons why you go and fly somebody because you would think that. I remember when I first got into this, I was like, like it's gonna be more critical patients because they don't want to bill these people, man, $80,000 for a flight, which is probably what it would be, like 80,000. I'm guessing. I mean, like that's a guess, but it would probably be that if they didn't have insurance, and the amount of people that we take out for like they have pneumonia, and they just need a room to stay in, and like they just need IV antibiotics, some fluids, and make them a sandwich every 4 hours, and like then they get sent home. But we're flying them, billing them $80,000 for
That's
that,
nuts.
and
That's
that
absolutely
it
nuts.
happens. It happens. It's probably over half of our calls. Like it's not all critical, but
Is there
uh,
ever that person you were like, are you sure you want to fly? Are you sure you can't find somebody to drive you? Even in the fire department, we'd run somebody at 3:30 in the morning, and we'd get there and be like, "Oh, I've got a hangnail and it's been bothering me for 4 days."
yeah,
And you
yeah,
picked this time right now at 3:30 in the morning to call for help,
yeah.
and you called for help for that? Really? Come on, dude.
Oh yeah. It goes like that with even like traumas and stuff like that. Like we
Right.
see that a lot where it's like, okay, this guy came in, he broke his leg, and like, let's say they go to emergency room, they know for a fact that they don't have orthopedics there, but they'll wait about like 5 hours for this patient, and then they'll call us, and it'll be like the middle of the night. It'll be like, well, what time did you come in? Like 3 in the afternoon. I'll be like, well, if you know you didn't have it, especially traumas, like we live in, Wichita, we have Wesley Medical Center, so level one. We have St. Francis, that's a level one. So if you don't know, to keep their level one status, you could just call them and be like, hey, we don't have orthopedic. It's an obvious broken leg. Like, will you guys accept them? And legally, as long as they have the capability, rooms, people are, like they pretty much have to say yes. So they could call them at any time and just be like, yes. And then, I know there's loopholes for that and stuff because they want a room and all this stuff, but for that kind of situation, they would go to the ER and they basically have to say yes for that. So,
Right.
but they'll
So do
still
you guys?
wait a long time to do that though.
So were you guys primarily Kansas for the helicopter, or do you fly into Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, any of those places?
Yeah, honestly, all the surrounding areas, helicopter wise, we don't have as much range. we go from like I've done Hayes, Kansas to Wichita, and that's about like a hour 45-minute flight. But we can do longer. We just have to fill up. A lot of our pilots don't like to do that. We don't like to fill up gas with patients and on board just as a
Right.
safety precaution. But
What?
yeah, I know something
That's
about it's a
crazy.
little sketchy. You're landing, and they're like, "Are we there yet?" Be like, "Nope. We're just filling up on gas because nobody was closer." So, but in the fixed wing, though, I mean, we have some pretty long range that we can do on that. I mean, uh, we go to Denver, we go Colorado, we go down to Houston, we go to Arkansas, we go to you know Missouri all the time. I mean, honestly, all the surrounding states that we go
So,
to, and we can probably even go further than that if we really needed to.
so with your paramedic certification, how does that affect your certification for being in those other states? Like I know you
that
got the national
this
registry, but
Yeah, it
but
sucks. This sucks because as a medic, at least in our company, um, it's different than nurses. Nurses have a compact, and the compact with other states, basically, it's like you just have to, you have this compact, so it's like, okay, they know this so that they can work in these other states. And there's a few exceptions, like, oh, I can't remember. But as a medic, we have a compact too. It's just not as good as the nursing one, and it doesn't roll over to us. So I have state license in Nebraska, Arkansas, Colorado, Texas, Missouri. I have to maintain all those.
holy shit.
Dude, I have like 7 state certifications, and it's not. I haven't run
And you have to
into
test
issues
for all
yet.
that. You have to test
No,
for all that, right?
it's a
Reciprocity?
reciprocity or
Oh, okay.
reciprocity. Sorry, and then
Okay. Well, that's
but yeah,
good.
they so you have to apply for it, but you have to do your continuing education with it.
For
Um,
each state?
each state, I'm kind of learning as I go because I just had to research my let's see here, my Arkansas one, I think is what it was, and I got 3 more on my computer. I got like 4. I got them all right here, and I got like 4 or 5 this year that are expiring. So, so I got to figure it out. But I know that there's a couple that you have to upload all your certifications or all your continuing ed into and continue that. But my flight certification, my which was a pain in the ass to get, but it wasn't as bad as what people said. But I got my flight paramedic certification. I don't have to do that for each state. It's just the one certification. So
Okay. Now, do you have to have any separate licensing for the fixed wing?
no, it's the same one. Oh, I'm trying to think of what it's actually called, but we have I think it's part 135. It's in an air like it's your medevac status that so like you're carrying a patient. So it's all underneath that one little deal,
Or that
whatever
one
you want to call
umbrella?
that.
Right.
Yeah, whatever you want to call that. It's underneath that, so it's the same one. You just have to be trained on each one and signed off, so you know all the safety issues on it. Like, and they usually do that new hire, and then you do that yearly afterwards,
Right.
just to make
So,
sure. Like, if you get in a crash, you know how to pull the lever and push the patient out, basically.
see ya.
Save yourself. Yeah.
So, do you have, like, your schedule's nuts, and I know that, but it's like, hey, today you're on standby for fixed wing, or today you're riding shotgun in a helicopter. What, like, how does that work for your schedule, or is it based on the patient needs?
So my how my schedule go, I work 24 hours. I only work 8 times a month, which is I know it's so nice. It's supposed to average out to 2 times a week, and um, basically how mine goes, I think I'm off 6 days, and then I work pretty much every other day. So like I have a week off pretty much every 2 weeks, which is nice. So it's been nice with having to raise a kid
Baby.
and doing that. Yeah. So, but But our schedule, our boss is pretty good. She splits it up like 50-50. So you're on the fixed wing half the time, you're on the helicopter, you know in advance, and we have a station. So you go to the station at the airport. We just have like a little hangar area that we keep all of our aircrafts, helicopters in, and they have beds there, so we'll be sleeping there. And basically just like 911. We don't have pagers. We have a cell phone that, but it makes the same annoying pager sounds that y'all like. But then
The ones we all know and love.
yeah, and ours, I don't know why, but it sends you text messages with details about the flight. Like once you accept it, and there's like 20 of them that come out, so you get like your headings, your destination, then you'll get one with patient details and all this other stuff. It just dings nonstop. There's no way you can sleep through that.
So what's a crazy call in the back of a helicopter? Walk me through something like that, or one that's happened to you.
I I mean honestly, I feel like most of our calls are, you know, it's hard to explain some of these calls in a helicopter. So we fly a Bell 407, and in that one you don't have access to the patient. It's hard to explain it, but basically in like a normal helicopter shape, you have your pilot that sits like, you know, front right is where he's sitting, and then the patient, there's a bed that goes on his left side, so the pilot where he's sitting could touch the patient's feet because his feet's over there, and then he's just like on a bed, like a skinny bed that has zero cushion on it, very very minimal, and then you sit behind the patient, behind his head, and then another guy sits next to you. So like I've had plenty of times where we'll be treating like a patient. Like we had one that they were getting 2 units of blood. They had a pretty deep laceration, so we're drawing up our TXA, giving them TXA to try to stop the bleeding. They were getting blood. They were on 2 pressors, and they had 2 IV sites, one in each arm, and one is pinched off, so you have to switch it. But for you to switch the IV, you gotta take off your helmet. You gotta let the pilot know, hey, I'm unbuckling, I'm taking off my helmet, and then you gotta reach up and try to move it to your different location. Because if you don't, this guy is like, you know, gonna die, basically. Because we got like 45 minutes. It's like, you can't let that go for 5 minutes. So you're up there and you gotta switch sides. The patient that we had, I tightened it up, but I think when I loosened up the other side of the bloodline. He's getting blood, he's getting his medication, and then above it, there's another IV side, and it's having blood go through it. And by the time we get to the hospital, we pull him out, and we look on the side, I'm like, this dude is just covered in blood. I'm like, oh my god. So I look over, and the blood thing was partially undone. So he's getting some blood, but the other half of the blood was just dripping out of it on his side, and we pulled him into like, honestly, not a big ER, like a smaller one, and they're like, oh my god, like what the hell happened to him? And we're like, it's hard to explain, but let's just say I spilled a little blood on him. And the doctor, we actually knew the doctor, so he was like, Clay, what the hell did you do to him? And I looked at him and I was just like, I didn't tighten that tight enough. And he was like, oh. he goes, should I let everybody else know that? And I go, do whatever you want, that's fine. Like, I don't want to hide it, but we had some good stuff too. And some of these calls that we take,
you can't pick up somebody from like let's call it a really bad car wreck, spine immobilization, and CPR in progress. You guys can't do CPR on your bird.
We can. We carry a
Lucas machine.
We carry the Lucas, we carry the Thumper, and then it's just kind of a weird thing. So if they're actively CPR on the ground, we won't do it. Like
Right. You
even
want them
on an
stabilized prior
ambulance,
to flight.
well, even just on ambulances and stuff, you don't. It doesn't do the patient any good to be flying and trying to do helicopter flying, driving, whatever. Like this guy has a better chance on the ground if you just don't move, do CPR on him. If you have to call it, because he dies, like that just is what it is. But like in a helicopter, like we'll put that Lucas thing on if we suspect it. You got to put that board underneath like his back and everything. We'll get it set up and get it ready for it. And you can scoot, you got to slide back the cot a little bit to accommodate that. And you can run the Lucas machine on there. And you can even do compressions on it too. I have not had to do it. I need to knock on wood. I have not had to do it. But I heard that it sucks. I've had people tell me like you can use your elbow, kind of like use your elbow and do it that way. That just means that I'm just going to be doing a bunch of crunches and my fat ass cannot do that for very long. I got like 5 minutes in me and then I'll be cramping and be like, okay, like guys, this guy clearly was not meant to live. Like,
So you guys really want like good patient stabilization prior to flight?
we want so well, not necessarily. I think actually, just as medics and I would say nurses, like in our role, like, but we're just really good at stabilizing people. So, I mean, we kind of expect it. Like, you should be at least getting something on board to help these people. But if they are bad and they need to go, like, it ain't gonna help them just to stay there. So we'll go and do the best we can. And like I said, we're in Wichita, so we have Wesley right there. So if we're close enough, we got a patient and he's pretty bad, but we're like, hey, we got like 20 minutes at the most with this guy to get him to a level 1. Like, yeah, we're just gonna deal with just being stressed out. Like, we're just gonna be
Right.
busy. So
See, we in Branson we had some really good medics and we had some really like medics,
hmm
and like they would expect us to do a lot for them. Like, I don't have those certifications.
yeah,
You get in here and you do it. I was like, we need this
yeah,
done now because dude needs to go. Like, why are you standing there with your arms crossed watching us do everything when you need to be in here, putting up an IO or setting up a line or something? Because I can't do that. I will get things ready for you to do
yeah.
that, but I'm not going to stand here or I'm not going to keep working on this dude if you're not going to do anything. It makes no sense for us to bust our ass to try to save this guy if you're going to stand there and watch us, because we
Oh,
kind of
yeah,
need,
for sure.
your level of training to help.
It's like there's a certification there somewhere that I need to get.
Right. I will gladly cross that line and I will do stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of liability on the backside of
But I
that.
need
So
you to document you did it. Can I do it? One of our
I will
pilots.
put an IO in this dude's kneecap. I
Yeah.
don't care, man.
One of our pilots. That's funny you brought that. One of our pilots is like, one of my goals is to start an IO. And we're like, you're not medically trained or anything, but he knows his wife is a doctor, so he learns
Knowledgeable. Right.
from people. He's like, but I want to do an IO, and I'm like, you know, if we do have to start an IO on this guy, and the leg of him is right next to him,
It's right there.
I go, I don't know, I may do it. I don't know. I said,
Be
I'm not
like,
going to
"Hey,
say I'm
dude."
going to do it. I'm not going to go
Right.
and somebody's going to watch this and be like, dude, there's no way he could have started an eye on this leg. I'll be like, I don't know. Maybe I did. You don't know. You don't know if the pilot did it or me, but I'm going to document I did it because I'm a
The
team
pilot
player.
would be like, you know what? I want to start an IO on somebody. And you're like, well, you know what? I want to fly a helicopter. So,
Yeah.
fair.
Oh, God. We've been talking about, I've been trying to learn some more about like flying helicopters, flying planes and stuff, because even a plane, like you can sit in the front on the way back, or like if you're not a patient loaded, then you can sit up front. You kind of just learn what they do. The helicopter you can't because there's that cot there, so you're just kind of in the back. And we talk a lot about, hey, what if our pilot just like has a stroke, or passes out, and we just had this happen like 6 months ago. One of the pilots on a fixed wing, not at our
Okay.
base, Yeah, he passed out, and
But there's two pilots in the airplane.
nope, just one. Just
Are you
in ours.
serious?
Yep, it's
Oh, that
just one.
sucks. Well,
Yeah,
that's
so
unfortunate.
I know it's a kind of a safety issue, but eventually they'll get to that point of being like, you know
Safety
what?
third. It's
Wait,
fine.
yeah, yeah. They
Coffee
always say
first,
that.
safety third.
They always say, yeah. It's like, let's get paid first, and then we'll figure out the safety stuff. But which is true.
So
But
what happened when this dude passed out?
so the dude passed out, and they had to be in the air for a little bit, and basically he ended up waking up, but it took them a while to notice. Like, they flew past their destination and all this other stuff, and they woke up, and then they had to land. They landed just fine after he woke up, and then he was like, you know what, I feel pretty good. I think I might like fly back home still. And they ended up doing it, but I was like, my God, no, I would not. I'd be like, you, like, pilots, I don't know if you knew this, but like the pilots, they have a pretty strict like medical kind of a thing that they had to be cleared for. In law enforcement, same way. Like, if you were on a blood thinner, most people just wouldn't hire you. I have a buddy that did that, and he has a mechanical heart, and he was on blood thinners, and they're like, yeah, you can't be a cop. And he's like, I'm a medic.
Perfect,
I'm a medic in the
be
back.
He'd be a perfect cop, man. He'd be like RoboCop, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Mechanical heart? Hell yeah.
Yeah. You sit there, if you sit next to him, you just hear like a tick, 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 tick. It's like,
dude, are you going to blow up? What's the deal?
yeah, I'm like, where's this clock at? This clock is so loud. He's like, it's my valve. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like, yeah, basically just like RoboCop. But yeah, that guy passed out though, but after that there was huge safety discussions about like, hey, what do we do? Like, if some bad happens on the plane and everything. We're like, okay, yeah, like in the plane, I get it. Like, you can contact, your control tower. They probably could step you through some of the stuff, and we sit up front where I think, like, I'm not saying it would be a smooth landing or a good landing, but I think that there's a chance, like, honestly, higher than normal chance of us landing. Like, I feel like it's, 80% there. Like that. That's a pretty good chances.
Yeah, you play
I was
PlayStation,
like,
it'll be fine.
I played that game on my phone where you are flying that plane and you try to avoid the blocks in the air. Yeah, I've done that. I'm an expert.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
But on the helicopter, like I said, there's a cot there. We have restrictions on the helicopter on how big patients can be too. So, like, there's only a certain space. And I'm telling you right now, like, for me, I'm fat, but I am not like obese fat, and I barely fit in that thing. I'm just thick. I'm a thick boy. I'm just thick. But like, even me laying in that's tight. So like, if our helicopter pilot starts to go down, like there's
not much you can do.
There's nothing we can do.
Because I know
we have an autopilot.
But there is an autopilot, but I know to keep a helicopter in the air, you got your feet going.
Yep.
You got your cyclic, and then you got your, I don't know. I need my buddy Dave here that's a helicopter pilot to explain all this shit. And it's like 2 hands, 2 feet, and there's a lot going on.
Yeah,
and I don't even know if you'd be able to unbuckle somebody, pull them out of the seat, and get into the seat before something crazy happens with the bird.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. I think if you just have to roll the dice each time and be like, hey, just hopefully, like if some bad happens, like we can just land quickly. Right. And I think we can for the most part. But in our helicopter especially, like, you can't sit up front. You don't learn what they do. And like you said, the feet pedals have been what I've been learning about is like when you're flying, those foot pedals are kind of used to prevent you from spinning out. Basically from like, it probably wouldn't be that bad. Like when I talk to the pilots I work with, they're like, yeah, you have to apply a little bit so like you don't so that you go straight and all this other stuff. But for me to get up there, there's a bar there. You can't do it. Like if we had 20 seconds for me to get up there, like that's probably as fast as I could get up there, and I still wouldn't be able to do anything. So like if we get in a wreck, you're a potato in the sky. You're going to drop. You're just going to drop like a potato. So, but on the fixed wing, you have a chance. But, yeah. Good old safety issues right there. But
That's
yeah,
fine.
that is another thing though. Like what people kind of forget about though is like we have weight limits and patient size restrictions and stuff like that. Like uh, we got, I think honestly, the biggest patient that I picked up was like 360, I think, and that yeah, it was tight. It was uncomfortable for them, but it was like a 20-minute flight, and we're like okay, we're just gonna squeeze you in as tight as we can, and it's just gonna be uncomfortable, and but that's by far the biggest one, and but most people like even like 300 pounds above will call before going because we're like we're not gonna fly all the way out there if
Right.
if this chunky monkey can't fit.
Because you got to think about like fuel weight and all that other stuff that is involved
Yeah.
with this, and a lot of people don't understand. Like when you take a flight from Kansas City to Denver,
Mm-hmm.
and your bag is too big, it's because they're trying to calculate your weight, the bag weight, the plane weight, and
Yep.
the fuel weight, and it's
Yeah.
all got to be enough for the plane to take off. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, a lot of
Take
people don't
off and
understand it.
the fuel consumption, all that stuff. It's
Yeah, when I used to fuel planes, it doesn't go by gallons; it goes by pounds, and that was always my favorite thing was at the Colorado Springs uh, airport where I fueled planes. We had our Flight for Life helicopter there,
yeah.
and they'd come in and they'd be like, "Hey, we're coming in hot. We're going to do a hot fuel." I'd be like, "Yes!" So we pull our
Yeah.
truck out to the ramp, and we'd park, and they'd come in and land, and their rotors are like I don't know, a foot and a half from the top of our fuel truck.
Yeah.
And I'd run out, I'd hook up my static line, I'd go back, get the pump, and I'd unpump it, ask him how much they wanted, and he'd tell me, he'd like write it on a little board and show
Yeah.
me. He couldn't, he was
Yeah.
he was like, I don't know, a foot from my face, but he couldn't tell me because it's cooler just to write on it and show me.
Oh yeah.
And so we'd open up the gas cap, stick the thing down there, and you'd have to use a flashlight because you couldn't see,
Oh
and
yeah.
you didn't want to overfill. And so you'd fill it up, and be like, "Oh, you guys got to call it. Like you're getting fuel. You're going to run somewhere. You're going to save somebody's life." I put all my shit away, and they'd take off and go to the ramp and land and shut down. And be like, "What the, dude?
Yeah.
I could have just parked next to you, just fueled you. Like, why'd you have to hot fuel? I think it's cool, but completely unnecessary."
I think so we have a certain amount of starts that we can do on a helicopter, and I guarantee that's the reason why. So like if
They
we
would do
start
that all the time.
but
They
if
would
they
never
do
get fuel and leave. They would just get fuel and then land. I'm like, dude.
exactly because if they land there, well I don't know, it might been I don't know, who knows, but for us like starts and stops, like when every time you start up that's like another number, and I don't know the number on it, but after a certain number like you have to get a new engine, like it's ours is yeah, you have to get a new engine or at least send it in to get refurbished to get a like a already refurbished engine. Like so I've only been at this job now for it's going on 3 years, I think, something like that, or two and a half, 3 years, something like that. But we've had I think 4 engines since I've been there, or 5 engines.
Holy cow.
Yeah, like we go in and it's never a new engine. It's always been refurbished, but
Well, of course.
yeah, but and then and that's just on the helicopter. The plane, I think that we've gotten another one before. We've had to be in a new plane, so we were in
What kind of plane do you guys ride?
a King Air. We have a King Air 200 on ours,
Is it the
which is kind of a
dual
bigger
prop?
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Dual prop, kind of bigger.
They're nice.
The
They're
tail,
not bad planes.
They're reliable. I think that's why we use them. So
It's
they don't
crazy.
break.
They're so old. Like most King Airs are pretty old planes, but they are super reliable.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah, and
I
they
hated
talk
fuel in
about
ours that we had because it was like the fuel points right next to the prop,
Yeah,
and the one that would come in Colorado Springs would he would come in like grab a couple packages and he'd bounce, so he never shut down. And I'm like, man, can you at least like shut down a little bit this engine where we're standing like inches from this prop, please? Because I'm really uncomfortable right now, and I don't like it because I can't see it because it was always at night. It was like one of the last things at night, and the
God.
ramps, not well lit, and I was like, I can't see the prop spinning, so I'm gonna walk into this thing and lose all my body.
I'd be like, no, I'm good. This ain't worth it.
You've got enough.
Yeah, like, all right, you're topped off. Have a good day.
See ya.
Like, you didn't do anything. But
So, what's station life like? So you got a station, you got a bed, you got a room, all that cool stuff, kind of like a fire station. But
yep.
what's station life like? Like, are the pilots like too cool to hang out with everybody? Or are they cool dudes?
So my base is filled up with, I would say, more older crowd. I mean, honestly, everybody just hangs out in their room and sleeps. It doesn't have the same camaraderie like 911 or fire had. That fire station thing is something special for sure. Where like all the people hanging out, eating dinners, all that stuff. For us, I mean, you're there the whole day. I would say most of our people try to nap during the day for a few hours. So we'll see each other in the morning. We meet up in the mornings, talk about what stuff is going to be happening this week, do our narcotic counts, talk about the calls we do. That way we can kind of see if there's anything that needs to be replaced. We get debriefed by our pilots. So our pilots come in and be like, hey, today the weather's going to be pretty good. There shouldn't be anything stopping us. Or like, hey, we're good until like 6. 6, and then weather's going to start coming in. Or even like the starts, like, hey, we have like 20 starts left. So, we'll try to just keep an eye out on that. And we go over all that stuff. We get debriefed every morning. And after that, you just do our normal chores, clean, trash, dishes, whatever needs to be done. You do your continuing education, which we have an absurd amount of it. Our company sends us stuff monthly to do cornerstones.
Yeah.
I'm sure other people know that too. And we got our cornerstones to do, and then on top of that, we have other trainings on top of that to kind of help keep our certification. So we're constantly doing continuing education for that. And then after that, you eat your lunch, and most people take a nap, and for the afternoon, then meet up and meet for dinner. And I mean, that's probably about it. I mean, it's not as fun as 911 and stuff, and it's also different too because you're inside the whole time. Like on an ambulance, be like, hey, let's go get some lunch and get in the truck and drive and talk and stuff like that. You don't have that on this one. You just have legs in the helicopter or plane, and even that you don't really want to talk too much because those pilots have a lot of traffic to listen to, read back, all that stuff. So it's definitely more quiet on those flights. It kind of sucks on the way back from Kansas City in a helicopter. You got like a hour and a half flight back, and you're just kind of just sitting there,
In your own world, just watching the world go by.
You just have your night vision goggles, be like, oh look, there's a shooting star. Like, that's cool. There's another one. I used to think that was pretty cool. My first like night vision goggle experience was in Denton, Texas, and we're looking up and seeing all the shooting stars. You see all the what are those satellites
The
for like the
Starlinks?
internet? Starlink. I was gonna say Starlight. I was like, that ain't right. That's the boys. Yeah, but you could see all those take off in the sky, so it's kind of cool. You got to see all that stuff.
I always like seeing the static come off the rotors.
Oh yeah, that's freaky.
That was always cool. Yeah, so like overseas when a helicopter landed, Black Hawk, Chinook, whatever it was, it'd kick up all these dust particles, and the dust would hit and cause static on the rotors, like the very tips of the rotors. So you get this green like I don't know, pinwheel going on with the rotor. It was so cool to see.
Oh yeah, I'm glad we don't have that. That would freak out half of us. I was like,
it's cool looking. Next time you land at night and you're standing outside the helicopter, and if it's going, see if you can see like the rotors, like see like green sparkles on the end of the rotors.
I need to ask my pilots about that. It is kind of cool. You have all the pilots, and they have a lot of them come from overseas, like working in the military and all that stuff. So it's fun to listen to all their stories and stuff. And some of the stuff that they've done, it's pretty sketchy. And now it's like what we do is fairly safe.
Right.
Safe as what you probably can be. So I have to ask him about that. But
See, this is a good little insight because I thought like I don't know, working around like Lake of the Ozarks, like we flew a lot of people,
mhm.
like all the time.
Yeah,
So this is good, like a good insight on what actually happens with Flight for Life birds because you see them when you drive by like down in Clayton or out here in Johnson County. We got one out in Overland Park.
yeah,
But like you see them out on the like they pull them out, and sometimes they're running, sometimes they're not.
yeah,
But it's a cool little insight on it. I like that.
yeah. Yeah, honestly, I didn't know much about it when I first started, and the more I'm learning, I'm like, because I always got pissed off when I was working 911, be like, oh, helicopter isn't available. I'm like, funny, I'm in Turon, Kansas, and I need to drive to Wichita. It's an hour and a half, and it's like 20 minutes for them. It's like, well, in hindsight now, it's you get dispatched. You need to get all your information. You guys head out to the helicopter. You got to start up, go through all your checklist. You start flying, descend slowly. Really, you're not saving as much time as like what you think. You probably are still saving time like that distance, but like if you're like an hour away from something, you're not saving
Right.
10 minutes, maybe at the most, and that's if you just show up, pick up the patient and go. Like you don't save as much time
And
as
that
like what you think.
I guess and I never realized why. Like if we got good information about a call on the way to the call,
Mhm.
like if we knew for a fact that we had like some serious trauma
Yeah.
and this
Mhm.
person had to fly, before
Yeah.
we even got there, we would call and be like, "Hey, get the bird spun up. Like get them ready to go because we may need them." And sometimes we'd have them flying to us and be like, "Hey, everything's stabilized. Go ahead and RTB.
Yeah.
Uh, we don't need you. Sorry."
Yeah. No, honestly, we do that all the time. We have El Dorado is just north of us or whatever. So whenever we have to go, they call us all the time for their every trauma. They activate us, so I'll fly up there, and they're very capable medics down there, very well trained. So like the only time they really need us is like if they have like an extra patient. Like that's pretty much maybe two extra patients because they're probably fine with two. Like we get launched, we'll go, and then you have to land, and yeah, but half the time they'll call us back halfway through flight because we want information as quick as we can because it's like, hey, we're gonna be there in 5 minutes. Do I need to bring like our ventilator and do we need to bring blood in and all this other stuff? Because we're trained in all that stuff, which is kind of the point of a helicopter and more critical care stuff. Like we're pretty good on the ventilators and blood. We have blood warmers. We have the amount of meds that we carry is stupid. I mean, we're not going to use 80% of these meds, but we got them. So we got uh so I don't know, but yeah, we get launched quite a bit, and then we had to turn around and be like, yeah, it's not that bad. It's grandma. She fell down. Like we'll drive her. Poor grandma.
So,
But
I guess back to the station stuff. Do you guys have any like superstitions or running jokes or anything that happens in a station? I mean, it doesn't sound like you guys hang out a whole lot and there's no
no, not
camaraderie,
really.
but
The
that
camaraderie is just between like a few people. I feel like most people are you just try to sleep because we know that we're gonna be flying all night, and like
right.
it's not just like 911. You're gonna wake up, run a 20-minute call, go back for 20 minutes. Like on a fixed wing, like if we go from like Wichita to Denver, the turnaround time's about 7 hours. So it's a long time for that. And even in the helicopter, like going to Kansas City and back, that's like 3-4 hours too. So like it's
Right.
most of us
Now,
prioritize
do you
sleep.
work with the same crew mostly, like the same pilot, same nurse, or does it rotate a
Uh,
lot?
it does rotate. Like we could work with anybody. Like it's not set partners or anything, but just based on our schedule and who's available to work, you can work with it. So I would say I work with the same people. Like I don't know, 75% of the time, and then I'll get thrown couples in when they need time off, and just whoever can work. Whoever can make us money will be partnered. That's pretty much it. But yeah, superstition stuff. I mean, we have the same ones as just 911 with full moons but that nothing unique enough where it's like in the helicopter or in the plane.
I didn't know if it was like a boat where you don't take a banana on a boat. That kind of
No,
thing.
no,
Don't
no.
take your oatmeal cookies on the helicopter. I don't
My
know.
gosh. The only thing I've heard is we've had a guy back in the day used to sacrifice a packet of Pop Tarts to the EMS gods so like he wouldn't get a flight in the middle of the night. Like that. And even that, I'm like, well, we used to do that too. So even take a little bit of your Red Bull, dump it on the ground, and be like, all right, like come on.
This one's for the homies.
Yeah, this is for the homies. Please let me sleep for 4 hours tonight.
So
Yeah.
so time frame wise, you guys get a dispatch. What's time frame from dispatch to flight time?
So we're supposed to be up in the like in the helicopter. I think they said like 6 minutes, but on the helicopter and the fixed wings a little bit longer because most of those are coming out like a hospital and stuff. So
Right.
they're in like halfway decent care, depending on where they're at. So I would say that we're usually up in the air, probably, or at least like getting ready to take off like 15 minutes
That's
at the
not bad.
most. Yeah, if the helicopter's already out and setting out there, and we got a scene call, and because you have to file for our pilots have to do a flight plan. We have to grab our narcotics, grab the blood from the blood cooler, grab our headsets, and make sure that we're all dressed and stuff. Grab our documentation stuff. So like by the time you get all that stuff done, right there is like like 10 minutes and their stuff. So and then you
So
have to.
do you guys do any flight engineer stuff? Do you guys do any of the helicopter checks prior to flight, or is that strictly the pilot?
They do checks in the morning and they do it on shifts. So they do 12-hour shifts. So they'll do their shifts or do their checks twice a day. But before every flight, we do a walk around before doing like flying. And that's the helicopter, that's the EMS people, like our or medical people. We walk around, make sure like turn on the oxygen bottles, go through, just look for leaks, damage, and stuff. And some of that stuff would surprise you on how little damage you'll find, and you'll just be out of service because you don't know what it is and you don't know what. So, like the other
Right.
day, this is our pilot that saw it, but on the back of the tail, like the long tube that leads all the way uh, back to the rear propeller areas, whatever you want to call it. But there was a small dent in it, probably the size of a dime. A very soft one too. Like if you look at it, you didn't see it, but if you leaned over and the light shined on it, there's that small dent. We went out of service for that for 8 hours. Eight
Holy cow.
hours. Yeah. They had to call in they had to call in somebody that was down the road that was a specialist in like metal condition and stuff, and he went out there and he looked at it, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll definitely have to check this out." And I'm like, look at it, I'm like, I can't even see this thing, and it ended up being fine. Like they just had to be like a sign off kind of a thing, but uh, yeah, any sort of damage that you didn't see before or a drip. We had oil before, like we've noticed oil coming out of like our engine department one time where it was just like a slow drip, and you're just out of service. Like you're not gonna fly on that stuff. Like there's no reason to. We have a fixed wing too, so we have at our base it's helicopter fixed wing. So if one can't go, like we would just be like, hey, we can just jump into the fixed wing and go as long as the pilot's good with that. So we've done that
So
before too.
you have one helicopter and one plane at your base?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, so you don't have like a two crew helicopter thing going on.
So no, we have four medical personnel and then two pilots, and where we're at too in Wichita, we have a huge hangar that people can bring their planes and stuff by. So we usually have at least another four planes in the hangar that kind of sit in there. They're usually not runnable or you can't fly with them, but they're in there. the same ones over and over. Right now we have like a red and black one from I think Texas that has been in there, and it seems like every 4 months it comes back for. It's another King Air 200, but it's in there every 4 months. I'm like, this thing has to be fixed or trashed by now. Like, I don't know. I should sell it. Give me a raise.
All right. I need one good crazy story from Clayton. You know how it goes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think, like, from the helicopter, like, some of, like, the crazy ones. Let me see here if I got like a decent one. Um, Honestly, a lot of the stories that I have are a lot. It's just chaos, is what it is. It's just there's so much going on. Because I feel like we have more critical patients. I don't feel like it's 911 where, man, I'm running naked people and poop all the time and like all that. I mean, I feel like that's.
I'm good with chaos. I am good with chaos.
So
you ever have patients get sick on the bird?
yeah, oh yeah, and it's terrible because you're just stuck
It's
in a
such
tube.
a small confined place.
Yeah. The other day, somebody got to me. Like, I feel like I never really got sick with, like, vomit, poop, or diarrhea, like, any of that stuff. And this dude was, like, burping, vomiting. So he's just burping over and over. And I'm like, this motherfucker, I swear. If he's, and he puked just, like, a little bit, like, 2 times. But we maxed out all of our nausea med. We couldn't do anymore. And we couldn't call in orders because we're in the air. So, like, you're just kind of screwed. I'm just sitting next to him while he's burping. I'm like, oh, fucking gross. But yeah, we get sick people quite a bit.
All right, I want a good chaos story then.
So let's say we had one that was coming from a little hospital, and this guy he is kind of in and out of it, but when he wakes up, he is swinging fists. He is throwing fists around and everything. We show up. It's just a little hospital. I don't even think a doctor was there. I don't know. I didn't see any. But when we show up, the nurses were just like, "Yeah, he needs to go. He needs to go to Wichita, and it's like a 40-minute flight for us." We're like, "Okay." And we start to get him loaded up and everything, and they didn't tell us anything about him being combative or anything like that.
That would be some pertinent information to know prior to getting into a tiny little bubble.
So we get into our tiny little bubble, and he wakes up and he starts kicking around. He kicked the pilot, kicked like some of the props over there, and the pilot just like started to shut everything down. And we're just like, yeah, no, we know. Like, we're gonna get back out. Had to take him out, bring him back into the hospital, and be like, hey, we just need a room for a minute. And they're like, why? I was like, oh, we're gonna RSI him. We're gonna put a tube in him, and like, we're gonna be here a minute. So we ended up giving him some rock. We gave him some ketamine, loaded him up with fentanyl, and he got Versed before and after. We're loading him up. We knocked him out, and after he's knocked out, he's paralyzed, all this stuff. We drop the tube in, get him on our ventilator. We start to get ready to go. We're like, all right, we're ready. We load him up, and then we're like, okay. We're looking at his blood pressure. I mean, because we just gave him a shit ton of meds, his blood pressure is like 60 over nothing, and we're like, my God. We had to do an IO on him en route because we couldn't reach the IV because he had this ventilator tubing everywhere. You couldn't reach anything. So we're starting some Levofeds and like Epi. Like we threw everything at this guy. And like I said, we had 40 minutes and we're like 20 minutes out. And all of a sudden, like, it's hard to explain. Like, you're just sitting there. You can't see anything. You can kind of see his head, but everything else you don't really see. I'm like, we're looking at the monitor sitting right in front of our face. I'm like, this O2 is just dropping. I'm like, fucking cool. Of course it is. I'm like, whatever. And I just look at him like, you have good end tidal, O2's dropping. And I just like look up and I see the tubing. The guy has a tubing in his hand like this. The
Just holding it.
yeah, rock lasts about 30 minutes, so it makes sense, I guess. So it's about time that he's unsedated. It's nighttime, and he just took his tube, and now he holds it, and I can't fucking take it. So I grab his thumb, and I'm like, like pinching him. I'm trying to get him to let go, and my pilot reaches over and just like hits it out of his hand. I grab it and put it back on him, and we had to re-paralyze him again, because I'm like, the sedation clearly ain't working, and it's just as fast to grab that. So we re-paralyzed him, and then we land, we pull into there. Well, it turns out one of his IVs got pulled out, which isn't like the big deal. Like, he had other stuff going in the other one. But I'm like, my goodness. And they're like, yeah, his pressures are dropping again. I'm like, yeah, because we just fucking re-paralyzed him because he, kicked our pilot and all this other stuff, and it was just like pure utter chaos. And they're like, so what's wrong with him? And I was like, that's a great fucking question. I actually don't know. I was like, I actually have no idea. And it took me a second. I was like, hold on a second. And I was like sitting there. I'm like, why the fuck did we go on this call in the first place? And he had a psych disorder on what it was. And I was like, regardless, he was punching, so he was going to get tubed anyways. So, but it was kind of funny though, because it's just, but like that on a ambulance isn't that big of a deal. It's like you're busy, but it's really not the worst thing in the world. Like, you paralyze and whatever. But in a helicopter where you don't have access, you can't see nipple
Not
line
like you
down.
can pull
You
over
can't
on the
do
road
it.
either.
Yeah, no. And if he started fighting, it's just like you have two options here. It's not landing. It's paralyze him, or you're going to restrain him, and you can't restrain something that you can't reach. Like his hands that had that tube. I was like, dude, that's funny though. I just like look up. I'm like, why the hell is he like so hypoxic and everything? I was like, he's been fine this whole time. And I just look up. He's holding the tube. Motherfucker. I was like, damn it. And then, of course, when you document everything, you go into your QA, and they're like, so we noticed that he went hypoxic, and you also wrote that he pulled his tube. It's like, so do you feel like you sedated him well enough? And I'm like, I thought so. I mean, like, yeah, like, and I really do feel like we did. I was like, he was paralyzed, and he got re-paralyzed. So, like, so they were like, yeah, you need to do a better job at that. I'm like, well, I did ask him. I was like, I know. I was like, what do you want me to do next time? And they basically were like, re-paralyze him earlier. And I go, that's a great idea. I think I'll do that. Like,
Solid.
like, okay, thank you for that great advice. You guys are great.
That's just, good quality assurance. I love it.
Yeah.
Paralyze them earlier.